It's very easy. Buy my book and read it.
I definitely will do that.
You should read Mickey's book. Actually, we have a really great Carnegie Library a block from my house, and I remember going over there and reading checking out the library and sitting out in this beautiful yard of the library up here on Queen Anne Hill in Seattle and reading it cover to cover. It's just brilliant.
But it's because I wrote it with crayons.
All right, let's go out to Huntington Beach, California, and say hello to Sarah. Sarah, you're live on King George Radio with Mickey and Ann.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Great talking to you guys, Ann, once again. And I think, Mickey, this is our first time meeting, maybe.
Very nice.
Nice to meet you. And, Jordan, I send you hugs. What do you guys think about, all of these brilliant, artistic minds? And, gosh darn it, I don't want to say they all die from accidental overdoses or intentional overdoses, but what a sad state of affairs that these brilliant people they succumb to these addictions, and it's really it's so sad, and addiction is a sickness, it's a disease, and I don't know, I just feel really badly about all of them. And drugs are so easy to get. They're just so easy to get. And so many people do the doctor shopping thing, or they just buy them on the streets. Or, when my son was in high school, I heard all these horrible stories about, when kids get their wisdom teeth pulled and the dentist gives them 30 Vicodin because they really need 30 of them for like 1 or 2 days of pain, and then they start selling them at school and everything. So I missed a little bit of the conversation in the beginning, but there is that Dr. Ann that you talked about that was convicted. I think it was maybe manslaughter just recently in Southern California.
Dr. Murray?
And no, not Dr. Murray. It was a woman.
A woman.
And she was on trial because I think 2 or 3 of her patients died.
They died, yeah, they did.
And they found that she was writing like prescriptions willy-nilly, or she was negligent or something. But I think it was manslaughter.
Right, and it was an unusual case because it's really hard to get a doctor just on prescription writing alone.
Right.
But it was just extraordinary. I mean, they were dropping, and her practices were just abysmal and reprehensible, and she didn't seem to understand what she was doing, and she was killing off the younger people, and her patients were dying because of what she was doing.
Right. And then
it's also a function of the patient.
Oh, go ahead.
We get all pissed off if it's somebody nice and famous that we like John Belushi, like John Candy, like the other one from what's his name
Kurt
from
Cobain.
Kurt Cobain. But the other heavy one from Chicago, from Saturday Night Live, Tommy Boy.
Oh, what is his name?
There's so many.
Yeah,
I know. There's so many.
But
hard to keep track.
Those piss us off, while the itinerant person who is just being victimized by his doctor, we don't seem to care about because they're not famous and they're not well liked. So
and they're not in the news either. And I think if somebody went to the county morgue and just asked on a weekly basis how many non-celebrity people are dying from all this, it would be an eye-opener. And I'm not one to say our government should stick their nose in everything. And I know there's been talk about tracking prescriptions. If you go to doctors A, B, and C, and then they each give you a prescription, then the pharmacist can track them somehow.
Right.
I mean, there's talk about that.
Yes.
But I don't think that would help. I mean, maybe it would help a little bit, but people just pay cash for them. You can go to a pharmacy and pay cash. You don't even have to use your insurance, but maybe they could double-check, like with the DEA number. I don't know what the answer is. It's just sad.
It's a function of how busy they are.
Right.
And sometimes it's done, sometimes it's not.
And moving on to Bill Cosby. Okay, so I am waiting for this trial. I doubt if it'll be televised, or maybe online we could watch it. I am waiting because this is going to be very, very interesting. And I just wish that sooner than later, that all victims, women, and there are some men, would come forward and not be afraid to come forward. I don't think this trial is going to do it, but I just hope that one day there should be billboards. Come forward, report it. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid. There should be something, because you hear about these horrible stories, and then they wait and never report it, and their life is ruined not worse, but like it's a double worse than when they were abused. Now, I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm just saying, in general, people shouldn't be afraid to come forward. I wish I could change that.
I have a three-word answer to that problem. Duke lacrosse teams.
Yeah.
That's
right.
the problem.
Okay, which
That's
also is like the other side of it. I mean, look, I have a son. I mean, I wasn't blessed with any daughters. I have a son, and believe me, if you have sons, that is one thing you are extremely aware of and worried about. At least I was
those
all
kids
the time.
they were not found guilty. They had the Attorney General of the state give a news conference saying that they were totally innocent, and yet they came back to that where they live in various parts of the country, a lot here in Long Island, and everyone says they got off. Not that they were innocent, but they got off. Some tricky lawyers like me or Ann got them off. Mm-hmm. It's a no-win situation.
It isn't, because it's horrible. The other thing regarding the hot car death. Okay, if there's one thing that absolutely drives me insane, it's this whole thing about intent. I think anyone that beats the crap out of their child, whether they know it or not, that was intent to hurt them. And if you have the intention to hurt a child, then that intention should lead to the awareness of you're hurting them, could murder them. And so I think we have to do something when it comes to children and being murdered or being so severely abused. This whole intent thing has to go. I just am not happy with this intent. It's got to be common sense. That's all there is to it. You beat the shit out of a little kid and they die, and, that wasn't my intention. I can't tell you how, and I'm sorry if that I swore, but that's how angry I am.
And fainted.
What?
I'm not on the line anymore.
Oh, did you? Oh, you fainted. Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
You bring up an excellent point, Sarah.
What do you guys think about this intent business? And that's the easiest thing for a defense attorney to talk about. There was no intention.
Actions are basically you infer whatever the context of your acts infer the results. If you hit somebody over the head with a baseball bat, you can reasonably infer that you meant to kill him. If you hit him on the leg with the baseball bat, you can reasonably infer that you want to hurt him, not to kill him. Every case is different. Every fact situation is different. It's not a one-size-fits-all.
That's a single act. But what about kids that are constantly abused over a very long period, and they end up dying because of these injuries?
Well, I throw that on the police department as well as the child family services people.
Okay. Anne, any comment?
Well, it's just there's something that we all learned in law school, and that there has to be intent and an act. So it's mens rea and actus reus that you have in criminal law, and it's a general proposition. And there's intentional crimes and there's negligent crimes. And so there are some of these in child abuse cases that fall into the intentional category, and they're more serious. And so in my mind, it's better to have a higher level of punishment and crime if somebody intends to do something to a child versus being negligent. And sometimes, sometimes they're negligent. And sometimes there can be negligent acts, with kids. And so that's kind of where I come down on it. But it's a great question.
Well, and if you take away somebody's livelihood about, as opposed to a civil case, you take someone's livelihood away. You want to get it right. And I'm not an attorney, but beyond a reasonable doubt, if you're going to take away somebody's, freedom and everything, you got to get it right. And that's beyond a reasonable doubt. So that's where I stand with that.
We're recruiting King Jordan for the defense team, and Bremner and Mickey Sherman.
There you go.
I can just sit at the table.
Well, I'm on the prosecution side. I can't help it.
I understand.
I mean, when I hear about kids and stuff.
Yeah, I totally understand.
Okay,
Ann,
so
weren't you a prosecutor, Ann?
I was a prosecutor.
In the feds or the state?
I was a prosecutor in Seattle, and I handled murder cases, child abuse cases, sexual assault.
You weren't the
cases.
one I was married to, were you?
Yeah. Was I what? Yeah. Remember me?
Now, Ann, I can't remember. Did you represent Mary Kay Letourneau?
I have after that.
And is she hot?
Yeah, she's hot. And I also had the civil case involving, I defended the police when Billy and his mom sued for the police and the school district not protecting them or Billy from Mary Kay Letourneau. And that was an 11-week-long trial covered live by CART TV.
Right. I do remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Not protecting Billy from Mary Kay.
They lost.
Spreading her legs open, right. That not protecting Billy. The school was responsible. Okay, Ann, I love you, but I just have to disagree on that one.
No, I defended the police.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, no, we won.
All right, I feel better. Okay, we're
Cy
friends
Vance
again.
Represented. Yeah, Cy Vance, who's the district attorney in New York, represented Billy.
Oh, okay. And the other thing, and I'll let you guys go, the OJ miniseries on FX,
Mm-hmm.
I watched it, and, there were some good points. And I liked the fact that really the backstory was about the attorneys, because there was nothing new at the trial, because that was the trial. But, gosh darn it, I really have a little sadness for Chris Darden and Marcia Clark and what they were up against. And I know from what I've read, they're both doing well and everything. But, I think for this case, like, I don't feel so bad for the prosecutor that lost the case in Casey Anthony or Robert Blake or any of these other high-profile ones. But these prosecutors, they were up against a whole city. They just were not up against OJ and his dream team. They were up against a whole city that never, ever would have convicted him. And that's what I think. That the jury, whatever was going to be presented to them, they were not going to have their golden boy OJ be guilty. That's all there is to it. And I just feel badly for them. But I will let you go because I've gone on, and I'm sorry if I've overstepped my time limit.
You're great.
Very nice talking to you, Ann, and
Same
Mr.
here.
Mickey Sherman.
Always.
And
we'll be sending
Jordan.
you the bill.
Oh, and Ann, you just have too many friends on Facebook. You know that, right? Yeah.
Do you want to send me I'll look. You're my friend on Facebook, aren't you?
No, I think because I clicked friend request and it said Ann Bremner has met her limit.
Okay, no. Let's try it again. I'd love that.
Okay, Mickey, are you on Facebook? I'll friend you.
Yes, I am, but only with perverted people.
Oh, I'll pretend to be perverted. Okay. All right. You guys have a very nice night. Thanks so much. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
And finally, it's going to be 5 years now before we go. And what were you doing at the time of the Casey Anthony, and what's your thoughts that we are on 5 years of that trial?
Casey Anthony? I was at the trial.
You were at the trial.
Are you talking about the Casey Anthony case?
Yes.
Yeah, I was at the trial, and I covered it for MSNBC and some other networks. I wasn't at the whole trial. And I actually did the verdict live for MSNBC as it came in.
When was the verdict?
Wow.
What date?
The verdict was July 6th of 2011.
I covered it for Cell Block B. In the federal.
Shane Gang, Mickey Sherman.
And I'm not kidding. I should be getting more laughs than this.